Enough topics on the table. Time for Fans Forum. You got a question, we got an answer. Feel free to fire away. John, these are all your best buddies. You will go drinking
Yeah,
with them. Go
yeah.
ahead.
We got some good comments on here, and this first one is from Manny N. He says, "How much money will Ohtani get this MLB offseason? Is 600 million a crazy number? Also, how long would he last as a two-way player?"
Well, I think the most unique thing about Ohtani is his ability to handle the mental preparation, John, because he's got to prepare to be a DH 4 to 5 nights a week. So that means all the regimen of batting practice, running the bases, that thing scoping out. But he's also got to prepare to be a pitcher on the sixth night of the week. And that means all the mental focus, throw in between starts, the bullpen sessions, all the video study you need to do to look at batting orders, reading the volume of information from the metric guys, the scouting reports. He has just been able to do that. And that to me is a remarkable thing. And then, by the way, guy's a power hitting outfielder, hits 280, and the guy's got a 2.55 ERA, who's a dominant pitcher on the mound. I would think the wear and tear factor just has to be unbelievable. Price tag, I would think 40 to 50 million per year. It'll be interesting to see whether that's Angels, whether that's Dodgers. Might it be Seattle? I think it's going to be a West Coast team. Might it be the Padres if things change with the Padre roster? That to me seems a little far-fetched. But what of the most unique individuals, human beings, intelligentsia type guy I've ever seen in the game.
Yeah, he's Superman. I mean, he is unbelievable, and he's going to be worth every penny he gets. And besides, he not only can he throw, can he hit? I mean, he's fast. Did you see him beat that one play at first base in one of the games in the WBC? So, yeah, the offseason next year, the Dodger fans are salivating right now.
The most unique thing about the WBC was as we got to the ninth inning, and of course, John Smoltz was just talking extensively about the intricacy of doing what Ohtani has done. And just to sit there and listen to him explain preparation for this, the physical preparation, the mental evaluation. And then, by the way, you're a pitcher, so you got to do this, and this too.
A lot.
I mean, John Smoltz described it to the perfection of the responsibility of Shohei Ohtani and what Superman has become. Okay, next question.
All right, moving on here. So this is from Steve Zach Botsford, excuse me. He says, how do you see San Diego State doing tomorrow, Hacksaw?
Aztecs are going to have to be careful how many fouls their starters get. You know, I joked about the fact, well, they got 5 bigs. That's 25 fouls to use. But you don't want Mensah and you don't want Ledee going out 5 minutes into the first half because they got back-to-back fouls. It's going to be really hard for them physically to hold up because Brandon Miller is so explosive around the rim, runs the floor, takes the shots, and their other 2 bigs are huge. And you know, since they played Arizona in the Maui Invitational, they've never faced anybody this big. I mean, these guys are 6'9", 6'10", 7 across the front line. It's going to be a big challenge. And I think the other factor, can the Aztecs hit threes? Because they're going to have to hit threes to counteract what Alabama's going to do with Brandon Miller and all the different ways they're going to run sets for him and ball screens and the fact that they've got 2 other guys who can score the ball really well, some inside, some outside. Good game. I'm fearful they're going to get overrun. I sure hope it's not 81-57, but it might be 81-57. But that's why you play the game, the way you play the day you play. That's what we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. And I remember the game when Aztecs played Arizona and Maui, and it was clear that their big men, pushed us around. But Mark Ziegler, in one of his recent columns, he talked about how they learned certain things from that Arizona game and how it made them a better team. And so now the way, what do they call it? Duck in. It's kind of their defensive alignment on how they're, handling the bigs down low. Maybe this is going to give them that secret weapon to get over the hump. And imagine if the Aztecs could beat the number 1 overall, get to the Elite 8. I mean, this city is going to be on fire if that happens.
Well, please understand this, and I'm not going to argue whether the cup should be half full or half empty. Please understand this. Their bigs, mugged, an undersized Furman team and a smaller College of Charleston team.
Mhm.
They're not playing anybody in the Mountain West now. They're
Yeah.
playing big boys. Last
Yes.
I checked, #1 Alabama. But hey, they deserve to be there. Doggone it. If they could beat the Tide, that'd be a 30-win season. Think about that. And I was the dummy that said, yeah, they have the potential to win 30. And then I wasn't sure what was going to happen. So it's right there out front for them to make me look good again.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it.
Next
And then
question.
tonight we've got UCLA and Gonzaga. So this is from Hustle or Nothing. He says, "How do you get fired after no losing seasons after the spring game?"
Yeah, you're talking about the whole USD fiasco, and I think it is a fiasco. And the burning question: if this was a decision made because your coach is about to turn 80 years of age, if this was the decision made, then you should have done it right at the end of the season. Now, maybe he was not going to go quietly. Maybe that was a big issue. But if you were going to have a new coach and a new system, you would want that guy in place to go through the whole teaching mechanism for what spring football is all about, because they had to select a new quarterback. So I just think this whole thing is way over the line in terms of how they handled it and the lack of transparency of the decision they made. Now, John, you know the law better than I do because you didn't cut law class the day they taught it at UCSD. I went drinking the day they taught it at Ohio U. Age discrimination, age 80. Does somebody who might have the ability to sue that said they told me I could have the job as long as they want, now they're taking me out at age 80? Or is it age 65 where the threshold is and you can't go beyond that for age discrimination?
Yeah, it's weird because if it is an age discrimination thing, you think they would have done it long ago. So there's got to be something else going on here that we're unaware of.
One thing we're aware of is that's a good football man, old school as he might be, with an 80-30 record. March on.
March on. Let's take a look at some of these YouTube comments. We got a bunch of them here. It's another one about the Aztecs. This is interesting from Michael Dabbler. He says, "Hello, guys. Great show. If Mr. Dutcher wins 2 more games and reaches the Final Four, will our coach get his contract redone or an extension? I'm sure other schools will be calling San Diego."
He's a really unique guy. You know, he's a North County guy. He lives right here in Rancho Bernardo, near me. I don't think he'd ever leave here. He's found a home. He's raised his kids here, lived in the same house since he came here with Steve Fisher back in the day, has turned down opportunities, turned down his alma mater, the University of Minnesota, where his dad coached. So at this point, I don't think we have to worry about that. Does he deserve a pay hike, pay bump? If these guys could drag this thing to the Final Four, yeah, maybe some big cigar, big booster will take them. If they get to the Final Four, I wonder if that impacts the Pac-12 in terms of what the Pac-12 is thinking about who we should offer membership to. San Diego State basketball replace UCLA basketball. That'll be interesting to see, but I'm not worried about Dutcher leaving because I just don't think he's that kind of guy. When he turned down his alma mater, I said that's pretty impressive because there's always an emotional lure to go back home, things that influenced your life and your career.
Yeah, it was kind of like the Brady Hoke thing where, I'm here forever unless it's Michigan calling. For Dutcher, it was Minnesota. But you're right, he stayed. He's not a spring chicken either. So will he just, kind of ride out into the sunset here in San Diego? Can't blame him. This is a great place to live. Yeah. So he's built a great program. We got a couple more comments here. This is a good one about the Cowboys and their trade for Gilmore and Cooks. It's from Paul M. He says, "The problem with the Cowboys is the owner. Can't stay out of the way of the head coach. The other problem is the quarterback. He will never bring Dallas a championship."
Well, Dak Prescott is probably in the upper third of really good quarterbacks. Is he a superstar? No, but he manages games, makes plays. I mean, you don't throw for 4,500 or 5,000 yards unless you're good and you got talent around you. You might not like Jerry Jones, but I'll tell you what, they spend money on players. They've really drafted well over the last group of years. Now, that being said, this guy's probably still angry about how Jerry treated Jimmy Johnson, who was the architect of Cowboy football. I mean, they won 2 Super Bowls, and then Barry Switzer babysat them, and Switzer won a 3rd one before screwing it all up with Jimmy Johnson's players. So I think a chunk of people who don't like the guy that runs the Star, owns the Star, don't like him because of what he did with Jimmy Johnson. But it's a really good team, and I give them credit. They pay their guys, and they do the gymnastics that need to be done with the salary cap, and they really, really do draft pretty well. There's not a lot of bust on that Cowboy roster.
Have you seen the rumor that maybe Ezekiel Elliott's going to land with the Chargers?
Nah, I think that's far-fetched because A, he wants money, B, he wants to go where they're going to run the ball. Well, Bolts are not running the football. They're giving it to Justin Herbert. Running game would be plan B after plan A. So I don't think that. I keep hearing Tampa, but Tampa's got cap problems, and Tampa looks like it's beginning what would be a major, major rebuild. I still think Zeke's got gas left in the tank, but he's got to go to a team that wants to run the bloody football. Can you say Chicago Bears, cold weather and all that, Razzmatazz? Maybe a place like that, but I think he'll get signed. I don't think he's done by any stretch.
Okay, let's move along. We got a couple more comments here. Another NFL one from Podsid69. He says, "Yeah, Tranquil is smart. He wants that ring. That's why he left, right?"
I just don't understand what John Spanos' dad gave him his job, president of football ops, is doing. You have not dealt with the Austin Eckler thing, and you let this guy go on the market. This guy is young. He's swift. He's fast. He's smart. Notre Dame kid. Why would you let him go? He signed a one-year deal worth $6 million. He's a starting linebacker. If you're asking me, I'd rather have him than Kenneth Murray in the linebackers. So you let him walk out the door where he's an athlete who can run, who's smart, and you're going to replace him with an older guy, age 31, Eric Kendricks, who came from Minnesota. Really nice career as a tough guy linebacker with the Vikings, but he's 31. Wake up as an old man a couple of years from now. I would have much rather had Tranquil than I would anybody else, but their call. I just don't understand what John Spanos is doing. They better put this Austin Eckler fire out.
Yeah, I think they need to sign this guy, bring him in. And I mean, you don't get rid of your building blocks. I mean, this is a guy to build on. It's a guy to take the Chargers to the next level. I mean, you got to make a move.
One final question.
This is a great one here. This is from Paul M. He said, "Is that a dog barking in the background?"
That's our executive producer, Nona, the barking black Labrador retriever. And by the way, outside our studio here, we have a bulletin board that had all the brackets that everybody had chosen. And I walked in there today, and all the brackets are gone with the exception of one. They're all in the garbage can. The only one that's there is the barking black Labrador retriever, Nona, because she picked all the underdogs in the tournament. That's why her brackets are in place and everybody else's brackets are gone.
Yeah, so like Nona is our dog, and she's like 14 years old. She's getting a little bit senile, and so start to randomly bark. It's only started within the last year or so, but it always happens during the podcast. But we love her, and sometimes she'll come in here or even visit when we're on the air.
In broadcast terms, that's what we call ambiance. Hey, listen, hope you've enjoyed our extended Thursday podcast. We'll be back on Monday with bonus coverage coming out of Sweet 16 and March Madness.